Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is your tropical update for June 27th. Once again, watching several areas of interest across the board here. We won't talk about the one in the Eastern Pacific because the odds of it developing aren't that high and it won't affect land. We have an area of interest located over the Gulf of Mexico right now, making its way towards South Texas, where it could briefly become a tropical depression and tropical storm. Invest 94L located over uh, the Central Atlantic, now the Eastern Tropical Atlantic, I guess, making its way towards the Windward Islands, Trinidad and Tobago, north of Venezuela. We will see what happens with that one, a high chance of formation there. In another area right behind it, another tropical wave that could form here in the next few days. Low chance formation there. Let's begin first in the Gulf of Mexico. Here's our area of interest, increase in convection here today. We see it's a very small system, less than a third of the state of Louisiana in terms of that heavy convection area. So very small storm. If it were to form, the National Hurricane Center isn't saying it will form. I mean, it's only a 20% chance, but the models are kind of picking up on it a little bit more than they were yesterday. And again, it's not a huge concern, but it's something that could happen. So nonetheless, we'll continue to talk about that. That's really all I have to say about that. 94L is the big one, though. A large envelope of precipitation, convection, and vorticity associated with this one, and it could very well become a tropical cyclone. National Hurricane Center is saying there's a 90% chance of that happening within the next 5 days as it moves near Trinidad and Tobago towards the rest of the Windward Islands and then north of all of the Leeward Antilles as it makes its way towards Nicaragua. Perhaps may affect Venezuela as well. National Hurricane Center is saying that tropical storm watches and warnings are possible later today. Most likely that would be accomplished by means of a potential tropical cyclone. So 94L would become a potential tropical cyclone 2, and that's certainly a possibility here shortly. So let's keep that in mind that at 5 o'clock this evening or 11 o'clock later tonight, we could have potential tropical cyclone 2 with watches and warnings in effect. And of course, I'll get into more detail on that in tomorrow's episode if that is the case. Although by the time we get to tomorrow, we could actually have a tropical storm. Hurricane hunters have already found tropical storm force winds associated with this thing. Nonetheless, the fix remains at 35 miles per hour, pressure at 1009. We'll see what happens with this. Land areas could be affected. Dynamical models still all over the place. A majority of them have this storm heading into Nicaragua after making its way just to the north of Trinidad and Tobago and just to the north of Venezuela and then into Nicaragua. Some of the other models that strengthen this more quickly, say into a category 2 or 3 storm, bring it up to the north a little bit, north of Nicaragua, north of Honduras, and into the Yucatan Peninsula. So we'll see exactly what happens there. Some models are saying that a Cat 3 isn't out of the question by the end of this week. Nonetheless, it is looking like a hurricane is possible here in about 4 days from now. After it passes the north of Venezuela, that land interaction dies down a little bit. It's able to spin up some more before making its way into Central America, if that is its next impact location. As we can see here, it could go to the north, but it's seeming like Nicaragua would be the next hit after Venezuela. Next is our area of interest behind 94L. So 94L is currently in the center of this image here where my cursor is. The area of interest is behind it, located near 40 degrees, 35 degrees west where my cursor is now. So that's the next area that we're watching. Hurricane Center saying a 20% chance formation within the next 5 days on this one. The Leeward Islands, particularly areas north of Barbados, Puerto Rico, and Hispaniola, all need to remain alert on this storm. It's not a huge deal at the moment, but it's still something that we're going to keep an eye on because the models are saying that something could happen. As we see, the GFS model here in a week from now has, again, about twice as many members as it did yesterday, developing that system in the Gulf. A wide range of solutions for 94L from Costa Rica all the way to north of Honduras and Nicaragua. And so we'll see what happens. It also has several members that have 94L cross into the eastern Pacific and continue being a tropical cyclone. And then we also have a few members that denote the possibility of that wave behind 94L forming. The European model is much more consolidated. Again, a few more members than yesterday have a tropical depression or storm forming near Texas. Again, rather than Costa Rica being in the picture, it's all Nicaragua and Honduras. And it does make its way into the eastern Pacific afterwards, so it lives across Central America, which again, the stronger it gets, the more possible that it lives if it crosses over the area. And then again, several models, several members of the ensemble picking up on the possibility that the wave behind 94L also forms, which could become a threat to Hispaniola and Puerto Rico later on. So we'll see exactly what happens. There's still a lot to figure out with these things. It's still a long ways away from us having a center of rotation, a tropical cyclone on the field. But that could happen as early as tomorrow with 94L. That area of interest in the Gulf could spin up super quickly, and that area of interest in the Central Atlantic could be a few days until we actually have something that is immediately going to form. But so we have some time, but lots of land areas are potentially going to be impacted by this. So that's all for now. Chris 6 and 4 with our Catholic Media.